Hey there everyone, and welcome to the video. In the first part of our story, Kyoya joined Team Gangan Galaxy for the World Beyblade Championships. And so far, things have worked out pretty well for them. They haven't had a single difficult battle past the first round match against Wang Huzhong, and now Gangan Galaxy find themselves in the A Block final, ready and full strength for the battle against Excalibur. The first battle between Klaus and Masamune begins, and it is the German blader who takes the win, like in the anime. However, this battle in our story is nowhere near as close a contest as the battle between the two of them was in the show, with Kyoya commenting that Excalibur's submember Klaus is far stronger than Gangan Galaxy thought he would be. For the second match, Sophie and Wales step forward, initiating a team battle. Seeing them step forward, Kyoya jumps down from the platform and runs to the arena to take them on alone. As he runs to the arena, it is Wales who begins the taunting. "Look at you all foolish. Do you really think you can beat us all by yourself? Save it, pal. I know when I'm being made fun of. Remember what you told me when we first met? You said I was a nobody from nowhere. It's time for me to prove you wrong and show you who the real nobody is." Kyoya, Sophie, and Wales get ready to battle, but right before the countdown begins, there are footsteps running towards the stage. Everyone turns and sees that Tsubasa has made his way to the arena as well. You see, Tsubasa has something to prove at this point in our story. Up until this point, he's only battled one time in the World Championship so far, and that battle was a loss. He needs to prove to himself that he can go toe-to-toe with the best bladers in the world, and made the decision that he isn't going to run away from this fight. But before the battle starts, Kyoya looks at his partner and warns him that if he loses control again, like he did in his battle with Chiyun, that he will not hesitate to crush Tsubasa as well. The battle begins and Kyoya immediately goes on the attack, smashing his bay into Wales at full force. But to his surprise, it does no damage, and his attack is easily repelled. Kyoya and Tsubasa take turns attacking all out, but none of their attacks are even able to make a tiny dent in the defenses of Sophie and Wales. Kyoya remarks that the pair of them seem to be stronger than he remembered them being from their battle in Greece, but his thoughts are quickly interrupted by Tsubasa, who's already starting to lose his composure, as his continued attacks are repelled one after another. As the realization that he's not able to overpower Sophie or Wales combines with Tsubasa's fierce determination to win, Tsubasa begins to lose control, and the dark power residing within him starts to rise until it completely overwhelms his senses. A now unhinged and much stronger Tsubasa begins to go on a rampage against the two Excalibur bladers. But the only thing more shocking to Team Gangan Galaxy than Tsubasa's dark power-fueled rampage is the fact that, despite his massive power increase, he is still not able to turn the tide against Sophie and Wales. The battle has drug on long enough, and Julian gives the order from the stands for Sophie and Wales to finish the battle. And the pair call out their joint special move, Cetus Grand Decalion, blanketing the entire stadium in water. As the attack covers the arena, Sophie and Wales begin to gloat, thinking that they've won. Only for Kyoya to ask them why they are smiling. Sophie and Wales look down at the arena and see that the water is beginning to swirl. It swirls faster and faster until a huge water tornado surrounds Kyoya's bay. Kyoya tells Sophie and Wales that they are fools for thinking that they could beat the King of Beasts so easily, and calls on his special move, King Lion Tearing Blast, and knocks the base of Sophie, Wales, and the still rampaging Tsubasa out of the ring. As the battle ends, an exhausted Tsubasa collapses from the strain of the dark power. After Tsubasa is carried away to be tended to by medical staff, the third and final match between Jinga and Julian begins. The battle starts, and Julian immediately moves his bay to a defensive position in the middle of the stadium, telling Jinga to come and get him. Jinga's Bay Galaxy Pegasus circles the arena a few times, building up speed before smashing into Julian's bay at full force, causing a massive explosion. As the dust clears, it is revealed that Jinga's attack has done no damage. Jinga attacks again and again, but nothing he does is able to make a dent in Julian's defenses. As Jinga and the rest of Gangan Galaxy wonder why Jinga's attacks aren't working, Julian begins to laugh. He reveals that after the encounter with Gangan Galaxy at the Festival of Warriors, the members of Excalibur realized that they needed to become stronger in order to win the Beyblade World Championship, and began to train in earnest to prepare for the fight against them. Now, in the anime, Team Excalibur loses to Gangan Galaxy in this match, and as a result, they train to become much stronger before their next round battle. They actually improve so much that Jinga, when watching them, is completely amazed at how much stronger they became in such a short time. However, in our story, they began this intense training after the Festival of Warriors. And this Team Excalibur that Gangan Galaxy is facing in this match is arguably even stronger than the post-training Excalibur in the anime, since this team has had even more time to train. Jumping back to the battle, Julian declares that playtime is over, as he orders his Bay Gravity Destroyer to use one of its special moves, the Eyes of Medusa. Now in the anime, Jinga is able to overcome this move and eventually win the battle, but there are two key differences in our story. The first, as already mentioned, is that Julian in this battle is much stronger than he was when he battled Jinga in the anime. And the second is that there is a character from the anime who hasn't yet made an appearance in our story, Ryuga. In the anime, Jinga has a battle with Ryuga before this battle against Julian, and in their match, Ryuga tells Jinga that he hasn't yet mastered his Bay Galaxy Pegasus, which has more power in it than he has fully realized or used. It is only when Jinga realizes and understands what Ryuga said in the middle of his battle with Julian that he's able to summon the power required to break through the Eyes of Medusa technique and eventually win the battle. However, in our scenario, without having had the important battle against Ryuga and facing a much stronger Julian, Jinga is just outmatched, and the power of Julian's Gravity Destroyer crushes Jinga's Pegasus into the stadium. Julian is named the winner, and Gangan Galaxy loses the match. After being defeated by Excalibur, Team Gangan Galaxy is in a state of disarray. Both Masamune and Jinga are reeling from their losses against Excalibur. And it doesn't help that Kyoya is only making things worse by reminding them that because the two of them lost, they won't be able to win the World Championship and prove their strength to the rest of the world. Kyoya is extra tough on Jinga in his scolding, as he reminds Jinga that the only reason he joined this tournament was so that after they won, he could prove that he was the strongest blader in the world by beating Jinga. And now that Gangan Galaxy is lost, Kyoya has been robbed of that opportunity. And if all of that wasn't enough, we have to remember that Tsubasa is also in the hospital and is in really bad shape after his tag battle with Kyoya. The next day, Gangan Galaxy receives a visit from Jinga's father, Ryo, the head of the WBBA, who tells them that he has good news and bad news. The good news is that even though Gangan Galaxy lost to Excalibur, they haven't been eliminated from the tournament just yet. The World Championship is set up so that after the A Block and B Block finals are fought, each block winner is matched up against the other block's runner-up, and the winners of those two battles move on to the championship match. While this is good news and serves to perk the moods of Gangan Galaxy, he then moves on to the bad news and tells them that he has made the decision to remove Tsubasa from the team, as he is the acting manager of the Japanese team. In the original, it is Yu who pleads with and is able to convince Ryo not to kick Tsubasa from the team after he says that he is going to quit the team if Tsubasa is removed. But in our story, Jinga and Masamune step up. They say that they promised to stand on top of the world of Beyblade together as a team, and they refuse to leave Tsubasa behind. This not only changes Ryo's mind, but it also serves as a moment for the pair to move on from their losses to Excalibur, as both Jinga and Masamune vow to not lose another battle until they stand at the top of the world. Now, reinvigorated in their determination to win, Ryo wishes them good luck, and Team Japan prepare to travel to Brazil to battle the B Block champions, Team Garcia. Now, anyone watching this who knows the anime is probably sitting there typing furiously on your keyboard, Starbreaker won the B Block final. Why would Gangan Galaxy be battling Garcia? And I'm glad you asked. You see, the B Block final match between the US team Starbreaker and the Brazilian team Garcia was fixed. Dr. Ziggurat, the manager for the US team Starbreaker, was paying Team Garcia to work for him since the beginning of the tournament. We also need to remember that after the Beyblade World Championship ends, Ziggurat reveals that he never had an interest in winning the tournament, but merely wanted to use it as a tool to gather data on the strongest bladers in the world. Specifically, the blader with the strongest right rotating bay in the world, and the blader with the strongest left rotating bay in the world. Since Ryuga has not yet appeared in our story, Julian Concern of Excalibur is the only blader with a left rotating bay that is available for Ziggurat to study. And since Dr. Ziggurat is first and foremost a scientist, he makes the decision to have Team Garcia win the B Block final so that Starbreaker would battle Excalibur in the next round. Now, yes, Dr. Ziggurat doesn't think that Gangan Galaxy would be able to beat Starbreaker, and he doesn't think that the Garcias would beat Excalibur. But by having Excalibur and Starbreaker battle in the next match, there is a 0% chance that he would miss the opportunity to gather data on Julian Concern. Also, when writing this story, I realized that having Gangan Galaxy battle the Garcias in the next round would be much more interesting for the story. So, this is the direction we're going. Team Gangan Galaxy arrives in Brazil and are greeted by Kenta, who is sent by Rio to bring them the footage from the B Block final in order to learn about their upcoming opponent. However, when they watch the tape, Kenta reveals that the battle was fixed, and Gangan Galaxy is heading into their next match with no idea what their opponent is like. In addition to this, Kenta tells them that Tsubasa has disappeared, and no one has any idea where he went or where he is. Now, in the anime, Yu gets into trouble as he wanders off and is ambushed by Team Garcia before the upcoming match. But since Yu is not around, this event doesn't happen. But don't think for a second this means that Team Garcia won't be trying to pull any dirty tricks in the upcoming match. The day of the match arrives and Gangan Galaxy head for the stadium to battle. As they arrive at the arena, someone begins walking toward them. The group realizes that it's Tsubasa. He's made his way to the match. Jinga and Masamune run to greet Tsubasa, but he suddenly falls over. And there, standing right behind him, is Ryuga, who immediately challenges Jinga to battle. Masamune tries to tell Jinga that he doesn't have time for a battle with this guy. And at the same moment, Kyoya steps forward, declaring that Ryuga should be challenging him instead of Jinga because of the unfinished business that he still has with him. But ultimately, Jinga tells both of them to stand down and accepts Ryuga's challenge. The two of them leave to go fight, leaving only Masamune and Kyoya ready to battle Team Garcia as they bring an unconscious Tsubasa with them into the stadium. Now, why did Ryuga show up in Brazil with Tsubasa, you may ask? Well, that has to do with the way events played out in the anime. You see, in the show, the third time Tsubasa lost control of the Dark Power was the third round match of the tournament. After he disappeared, he traveled to Europe to confront Julian Concern in a battle to prove his strength. When the rest of Team Excalibur shows up to protect Julian, the battle is interrupted by Ryuga, who tells Tsubasa how to overcome the Dark Power and then brings him to the stadium in time for Gangan Galaxy's next match. All of these things still happen in our story, it's just they all happen later, since Tsubasa's third battle in our story happened in the fourth round of the tournament instead of the third. And so, the battle between Team Garcia and Gangan Galaxy is ready to start, with only Masamune and Kyoya present for Team Japan. Even though Gangan Galaxy only has 2 bladers present, Argo is still able to turn the match into a knockout battle, meaning that every blader will have a turn one after the other in a continuous battle until there's only one blader left standing. Masamune protests that this format is unfair because Team Garcia outnumbers Gangan Galaxy 4-2, but Kyoya says that it doesn't matter. Kyoya shouts to Team Garcia that only cowards hide behind unfair tactics, and he will show them what it means to be a real blader all by himself. That is, if they aren't afraid. Kyoya starts making his way toward the arena, but he's suddenly cut off by Masamune, who sprints to the arena, screaming that he is going to get the first crack at these chumps and show them the greatness of the world's #1 blader. Kyoya is obviously annoyed at this, but he lets Masamune go, telling him to try to not make too big of a fool of himself. Since Masamune is going first, Team Garcia sends out Selene to be their first blader, and she proceeds to beat Masamune the same way she does in the show, by tricking him to close his eyes in the middle of the fight. Seriously, the guy who calls himself the world's #1 blader has a horrible win-loss percentage and is a total chump. Even Kyoya is in disbelief over how Masamune lost this battle, and simply tells him to get out of his way as he steps up to the arena. Kyoya quickly and easily dispatches Selene and then Enzo before Ian steps up for the Cyclone battle. The Cyclone battle does initially surprise Kyoya, but after seeing a single Cyclone attack, he figures out a way to counter the technique by using the power of his tornado attacks to partially destroy the stadium, disabling the Cyclone and defeating Ian. With only one blader left, Kyoya looks up to where Team Garcia is, expecting to see Argo, but he isn't there. Suddenly, a bay is launched from the sky, and in an instant, a surprise attack from Argo knocks Kyoya's bay out of the arena. With Kyoya defeated and no other bladers for Gangan Galaxy present, Argo tells the official the battle is over. But before he can declare a winner, a voice shouts out above the crowd, "Wait! You haven't forgotten about me, have you?" Everyone stops, turns and sees Tsubasa, who has just emerged from the tunnel on Gangan Galaxy's side. Tsubasa says that he will handle things from here, and takes his place in the arena to battle Argo. Now in the anime, when Tsubasa battles against Argo, he has already conquered the dark power within him. In fact, during the battle with Argo, Tsubasa even remarks that the way Argo acts in battle is just like the way he was battling when under the control of the dark power, consumed with rage and only wanting to crush his opponents. But in our story, Tsubasa has yet to conquer the dark power residing within him. So this battle takes a very interesting turn when the dark power in Tsubasa surfaces, and both he and Argo lose themselves in a rage to the point where each of them is completely consumed with nothing but the singular desire to destroy their opponent until there is nothing left of them. However, we also need to remember that this is Tsubasa's first battle since Ryuga told him how to overcome the dark power. And in the midst of the rampage, Tsubasa is able to gain control of himself, creates a new special move, and is able to win the battle against Argo, advancing Gangan Galaxy to the finals. Speaking of Ryuga, he's still battling against Jinga, somewhere away from the battle raging in the stadium. Like in the anime, Ryuga shows Jinga that he is far stronger than him, and tells Jinga that he clearly hasn't mastered the power of his Bay yet, and leaves. With the battle over, Jinga runs to the stadium, hoping to help his team, but upon arrival, he learns that the battle is already over, and that they are going to the US to watch the match between Starbreaker and Excalibur to determine their opponent for the finals. Sometime later, Ryuga is traveling along a road by himself when he's suddenly ambushed by a handful of bladers and a mysterious hooded figure. The man introduces himself as Jack and promises that he will battle with and defeat Ryuga once his bay has been completed. But for now, he asks Ryuga to come with him and takes him to the HD Academy in the US. Speaking of the US, Gangan Galaxy has just arrived stateside, and Masamune is itching to track down his friends, Toby and Zio. Now, everything in this next part of the story happens the exact same way as it does in the anime, so we'll just go over this lightning round style. Masamune takes Gangan Galaxy to the gym where he trained as a blader. We meet his friend Zio, who's now a member of Team Starbreaker, and we see him and Masamune have a quick little battle. The next day, Dr. Ziggurat calls Zio to battle against Ryuga, who's quickly defeated, and Ryuga learns all about Dr. Ziggurat and explains before he gets born and decides to leave. Ziggurat sends Zio and some bladers after Ryuga to try and bring him back, only for them to be stumbled upon by Masamune and Jinga. Masamune is attacked by Jinga while Ryuga warns Jinga about the dangers of the US team and leaves. Damien then shows up and destroys Tsubasa's bay because he's having a post-maintenance test of Eagle after the heavy damage it sustained in the battle against Argo. And before you ask, Kyoya is not present for any of these events because he doesn't care. Meeting Masamune's friends and seeing where he trained doesn't matter to Kyoya, and he chooses instead to spend this whole time somewhere else trying to get in a little bit of training before the finals. Gangan Galaxy gathers to watch the match between Excalibur and Starbreaker. Only this time, Kyoya is with them to watch the battle as Excalibur is crushed by Starbreaker. Now, since Gangan Galaxy has 3 able-bodied bladers, we don't get any of the filler content with them trying to find a third emergency replacement blader for their team before the final match with Starbreaker. But don't worry, because we still get the all-important DJ battle.
The two bays clash fiercely! A violent shockwave rocks the entire stadium! Oh, what an amazing farce! Right from the start, this is becoming a seriously heated battle!
If you just close your eyes, this sounds like an amazing battle.
And that is where we're going to end things for now, with Masamune, Kyoya, and Jinga ready to take on Team Starbreaker in the World Beyblade Championship final match. Thank you all for watching the video. If you like what you're seeing and want to talk about what happened, leave a comment in the comment section down below. And I will see you all again in the future for part 3.